Assalamu alaikum everyone, Elena here, the Muslim Travel Girl. I haven't done a video in ages, so this video hopefully will be very interesting for you guys and also will give you some information because it's on the Saudi tourist visa and how do you enter, how do you do Umrah, and all the questions I got asked last week that were too many, and I thought, you know what, maybe a video explaining it will be better for everyone and it will just be easier. So here we are. So for those who don't know, last week we arrived in Saudi Arabia. We were meant to move to actually Saudi about a year and a half ago, just before they closed the border, and we were stuck in the UK. So if you follow me on social media, you definitely know that for the past year and a half, we were technically stuck in the UK in our house. But alhamdulillah, last week we came on a tourist visa for now until we sort our paperwork, alhamdulillah. And I just wanted to go through the process because even when they opened in August, I received so many questions about it, but I didn't want to write anything that it wasn't my personal experience. So inshallah, I will be updating the blog, and obviously this video hopefully will help people. But let's get started with all the questions and all the practicalities and my experience, because I think that's quite important. And also before I came, I felt it was so complicated and it was so, you know, the apps and the information, etc., etc. So I had a kind of list of all the things I had to do, and so hopefully it will make it easier for you. You know, it wasn't that difficult actually. Right, so the Saudi tourist visa is open for everyone that was open previously from all the countries that they have mentioned on their website, which is like European Union, US, UK, etc. Everybody can go and, you know, can apply for the visa. You don't have to actually, you know, have plans to travel to Saudi. However, only vaccinated visitors can enter the country. And I think that's super important to remember, because I received questions whether unvaccinated visitors can visit, and that is not the case. You cannot enter the country unless you're vaccinated. And also, to be honest, even if you enter the country before you, unless you're vaccinated, it is so difficult to go anywhere, because everywhere you go, they actually check your app that you're immune, and they check your temperature. So whether it's a cafe, whether it's the mini market down the road, and I know for those who go to Umrah, probably you won't require that, but again, basically they check it everywhere, in the malls, etc. Everywhere, not even the supermarket you can go without it. And so only vaccinated travelers can visit Saudi. Before you visit, you have about 72 hours or up to 72 hours to enter your details in muqeem, which is basically a passenger locator form, but also it asks you for your vaccination and your travel details. So you will need to have a flight booked, and you will also need to have your vaccination, your dates. You cannot enter Saudi unless you have your vaccination 15 days. So you can enter basically on the 15th date. And why I'm saying that, because I actually did my vaccine, and when I did my vaccine, I had to wait 15 days. And now what happens with the muqeem application is that I literally entered on the 15th day, but they don't count them in the future. So I applied for the muqeem app, the muqeem locator form, literally after 12 o'clock on the day of travel. So it is possible. It just basically enters your details, and that is when you also, you know, once you enter and you download your tawakalna app, you're going to kind of have your immune status. So in order for check-in, they checked everything. They checked my muqeem information that I had. I printed everything out just to make it easier for everyone, because I think it's quite important to have everything. They also had my PCR test 72 hours in advance. It's a PCR test you require, and they did check that as well. They also checked my vaccine certificate, so make sure you have a copy of that, or I know my husband traveled with his NHS app, which was fine as well. And then of course, if you have children, their visas, etc., etc. This is really what they required a check-in. They didn't ask for anything else. Another very interesting thing was that for those who have an Umrah visa, a tourist visa that was issued and expired, then Saudi had announced that you can actually use this visa again. So basically, for the duration of the country being closed, this has frozen. So I'll give you an example with my mom's visa, because that's exactly how she entered, and I wanted her to enter this way just so I can basically make a video and comment for all those people who asked me, because there are hundreds of people, even thousands probably, who have visas expired due to COVID. So when I called the tourist line, they told me that I can, because I still had some time during my tourist visa from my previous visit in December 2019, they told me I cannot use it because I've already entered the country with it. So I would require a new visa, even though I only used 6 days out of the 30, out of the 90 days they had, the 3 months. For my mom, however, because we hadn't entered her, and I was gonna enter her before COVID on a tourist visa for 3 months, when we moved, was that she can actually use her visa again. She doesn't need to do anything, and that would be fine. And it is exactly, that was the case basically. She entered, the lady at check-in didn't even mention anything about her expired certificate from the visa, because technically you can still get a certificate, like a visa on arrival. And then the lady on arrival at immigration, the only thing she did was just enter her details, etc. I don't know if she gave her a visa on arrival or if she actually used her previous visa. I didn't ask that, but she didn't have a problem entering with the expired visa. Now, with regards to immigration, once we arrived, I also traveled with my 2-year-old daughter. And I think that's super important to remember, because a lot of questions arise from, you know, whether you can enter, you can come with children. And I really panicked because I thought I wouldn't be able to come with my daughter. But what happened is that it was perfectly fine. They changed the rules that children under 5 don't need a PCR test. And also, obviously, children above 12 need a vaccine. So that's what was required. My daughter entered literally just on her visa. She didn't have a PCR test, and she did not have, obviously, a vaccine. And I know that's the case with many people who came with children. Now, if you're coming on a tourist visa with a child, that's totally fine. However, don't forget that coming on a tourist visa and doing Umrah is okay, but children are not allowed in the haram still. So if you're coming as a couple, like a family, and you have young children that cannot stay by themselves in the hotel, then you will have to do Umrah separately with them. You cannot enter. The rules for Umrah visas or for Umrah with children hasn't changed. It's just the tourist visa, and that's because obviously people want, like Saudi Arabia wants tourists into the country. Now you are allowed to do Umrah on that, but that doesn't mean that the rules for Umrah have changed. So keep in mind that, because sometimes now we start confusing the tourist visa and the Umrah visa, and the Umrah visa and the tourist visa, they still have different you know, requirements and rules. So if you are coming with a child, they don't need a PCR test. They don't need anything else other than their tourist visa. They don't need a vaccine, obviously. If they're under 5, they don't need the PCR test, and over 12, they need a vaccine. But you will not be able to enter the haram with them, unfortunately. So you will have to stay in the hotel. Last time we did Umrah, my husband did Umrah, he asked, and it was a requirement that they don't go into the haram. Now the question is about the courtyard. They're changing the rules. Once I have more updates, I will update the website just to, you know, just to clarify it. But at the moment, that's where it stands as I'm recording this video. The other question I had received was with regards to the applications that are required. And I have to say I was really confused about that, because obviously the names are different, and I was like, how many applications are they and what do I do? And I panicked. So you need definitely the tawakalna app. Basically, the tawakalna app is the app, the NHS certificate app. It shows your status as an immune. I'm gonna update some screenshots for you guys on the website under the tourist visa blog, so you know what I'm talking about, and I will leave a link below for that. And obviously I'll put a link somewhere here, hopefully. But you need the tawakalna app. You cannot go anywhere without the tawakalna app. Now, people are saying that you can use your international numbers for the tawakalna app. We tried it, that didn't work for us, because my mom didn't have, I had an eSIM, my husband didn't an eSIM for me, so I didn't even have to go in the store to get a SIM card. But for my mom, we had to go into the store because her international numbers did not work for registration. Some people said they had luck with the application because it was updated and they had solved the issue, and you could have actually, done the application on your international number if you can receive text messages and if it works abroad, obviously with roaming. For me, that did not happen. I actually had to do the eSIM card and buy my mom a SIM card straight away so we can update the tawakalna apps, because otherwise we couldn't leave the house. There is nowhere to go because they need to check your status, and you have to show your phone application that you are immune and that you're green, and then you can enter the mall or the supermarket or anything like that. So you have to download the tawakalna app. What happened with my tawakalna app was the fact that I could not sign up. For the life of me, I could not sign up. But here is what I did. And I'm not sure why I couldn't sign up, because you have an option, and again, I'm going to post screenshots on the website for that. But it has a GCC tourist visitor, and then it has resident visitor for your resident permit to register, etc. We obviously went to the tourist section. You make sure that it's in English, but it would not accept my passport number for some reason. So I didn't know what to do. And then eventually, after half an hour, I was like, you know what? If they have an application, they probably have a website. So I went to their website on the English version. It's a little bit confused because the English version of that website is actually on a Google Translate. So it will give you, for example, the dates on an Arabic way. So just make sure that you enter the correct birthday, etc. But I actually submitted my application, like I uploaded the app onto the website, and I signed up through the website. And then I went on the app and just added my login details. Now, the great thing about what happened then is the fact that my immune status came updated straight away. So once I logged into the app, I saw that I'm immune straight away. In some cases that I know previously, like that's like 3-4 months from my husband, some people didn't get their status straight away. That was not my case. That was not my mom's case either. So I cannot comment, but I think they have updated the application, and I think muqeem helped with that, because my status, my vaccine status, my dates, everything was transferred from muqeem to the tawakalna app. There are only like 3 things basically. You need the muqeem app, the tawakalna app. You can still, I believe, book Umrah and all these details from the tawakalna app, but I downloaded the eatmarna app, which was what I used for my for my trip. And the eatmarna app was what you need. You sign up, you logging into the details, and then you can book your Umrah, you can book your prayers, you can book your Medina trips, etc., etc. So it was pretty much straightforward. You can have a look through what the Umrah statuses are, like what the times and dates are. At the moment, as it stands while I'm recording this video, it's actually very easy. There are plenty of Umrah spots. There is plenty of spots about, prayers, but I would probably try and book in advance as I come. Now, I know people use the tourist visa to come for Umrah, and I would say, yes, that's fantastic. But I would probably recommend you starting with Medina, where things are a little bit easier, and then have the time to do all the applications, do all the things, and then enter Mecca, just because it's, you don't have to be in Ihram as practicality. And also you have a little bit more days in order to, sort out your days and prayers, etc., etc. There are no limits on the permit. There used to be limits on time in the Haram. At the moment, they won't kick you out after the prayers, etc. But if some guard sees you that you've been there for hours, they obviously can ask you to move, etc. Seems things that are relaxing a little bit more, and they're opening up more slots for prayers and for Umrah. I think they are still keeping a lot of the slots for Umrah and a little bit less for prayers. So for some days, for example, Friday, I looked in the morning and the next Friday slot was in 2 weeks. So that kind of, makes it a little bit more difficult if you are coming only for a few weeks. What I would recommend to do is, just come and visit Saudi as a tourist, spend some time around. I mean, Jeddah is very nice. You can go to Riyadh and then book your times once you've sorted out your details in your application, and then you can come in your ihram to you know, to Mecca, and just make it easier for you, instead of, you know, being in Mecca and not being able to find, obviously it's amazing to be in Mecca, but not being able to find slots for prayer in the masjid, etc., etc. You can of course pray in your hotel room, it's still valid prayers, etc., but it's not the same as being in Mecca and being in the haram. So I think for now, and with COVID, obviously using a tourist visa to enter for Umrah is much easier than using an Umrah package, because at the moment we can only do Umrah packages on Umrah visas. But also that means that you have to jiggle it around. It's not going to be the same thing that it was 2 years ago, when it was free to go and you didn't require any, you know, anything of booking apps, or, you know, have any worry. So I know it's more complicated, and I know probably people will kind of start, you know, thinking about all these practicalities, but it's also important to remember that we're still in COVID times, and it's still a blessing that you can actually do Umrah. So just keep that in mind when you are planning your travels, and just leave a few extra days in order for you to book the details. I am not sure if the application will work abroad, and if you can actually go in, because I don't know how your, you know, how your statuses from the apps are going to update. If anybody knows about that, I did not do these steps beforehand, simply because I didn't have a Saudi number, and my husband had tried before and it didn't work. But if you can do it outside the country, do let me know if you've tried it and it worked. I'm pretty sure it probably wouldn't, simply because then people will start booking slots for Umrah, for prayers, and then something might happen and they have to cancel. So I think that's also quite unfair to just clock and get all these, you know, dates for you. But hopefully this video was helpful. Hopefully it showed you some more information and it made it easy for you guys. And I wish you, you know, you can come and have an Umrah and, you know, use your tourist visa, etc. And let me know what your experience is. So hopefully until next time, happy travels from Elena, the Muslim Travel Girl. Assalamu alaikum.